I'm Paul Tumpowsky. I'm one of the founders and I'm the chairman of the InSITE Fellows. InSITE Fellows is a 16-year-old not-for-profit fellowship that supports about 200 graduate students at leading graduate schools around the nation who are interested in entrepreneurship, technology, and venture capital. Partnering with TechTable actually for this organization is a great fit because we have many students that are interested in innovation across a lot of different markets. And as you can tell, this particular day is about seeing the intersection of a couple of very, very interesting ones to all of us. I want to thank TechTable for their partnership because these types of experiences for our students are invaluable, whether it's learning so that they can actually start their own companies or work with other entrepreneurs around the nation. My job up here today is to introduce a friend of InSITE and a big supporter, Weston Gaddy. And Weston is a partner at Bain Ventures here in New York. And when we asked him to get involved, he requested to be a judge for the mixology panel. But since we're not doing that today, what I actually thought he could do is actually share with you what he's really great at. He looks at businesses and markets as his full-time job and invests in the ones that he thinks are interesting. And we've worked with him and TechTable to curate a small group of companies that we think are very interesting and that are pertinent to today and are doing very interesting things in this market. So without further ado, I welcome Weston Gaddy.
Thank you, Paul. Though I am disappointed why this isn't the mixology contest, I think we've got some great companies that are going to be presenting today. As Paul alluded to, I work with Bain Capital Ventures, which is a venture capital firm focused on enterprise technology. And we're part of Bain Capital, which is a large private equity firm, which has a long history in both restaurant and hospitality. Over the years, we've owned Dunkin' Donuts, Skylark Foods, Domino's Pizza in Japan, Apple Leisure Group, a couple others I didn't want to forget, Bloomin' Brands, and Dunkin' Donuts. And so through that history, both with Bain Capital and me personally, I actually moonlight as an investor, as a franchisee in a concept called Freshie, based up in Boston. We have a couple locations. I've actually had a firsthand seat seeing how technology has been used, has impacted the restaurant space. And it's been interesting to watch because most of the innovations have really come on the connection to the customer, really mostly about marketing, things like OpenTable, things like Yelp, that really are more oriented around driving growth and driving top line. And even though we've seen some really interesting trends in broader technology around the use of mobile devices and the use of data for new and novel purposes, most of that hasn't actually translated into the OpEx line. And as you heard from the previous speakers, the two biggest things for the restaurant industry, the two biggest line items, are labor and food cost. And those have been largely ignored by technology for the most part. And so I think this group of companies that we have coming up are all very interesting because they're taking advantage of those two trends that I mentioned, the use of mobile and the use of data for novel and interesting purposes to connect both customers and employees in new ways, but they're focusing on the OpEx line. They're focusing on the part of the restaurant that's really been ignored. And so the first company that I'd like to introduce is Cognition. And they focus on a very interesting area that was also mentioned in the last panel, that the most important thing to success of a restaurant is actually having great people, retaining great people, and giving customers a reason to leave with a smile on their face. So I think getting rid of the sort of veto of that Yelp review that says food was great, but service could have been better. And so what they're doing, Joanna is going to actually introduce or talk about the company and give you a little more detail, but it's fascinating because they're taking advantage of some trends that we've seen in other areas of enterprise technology, which are focused on retaining and training employees in new and novel ways. Joanna?
Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna Schneier, and I'm the CEO of Cognition. Cognition is focused on reimagining corporate training for today's workforce. Our team has been in the learning and training space for 15 years, and even though Cognition has only been around for 2 years, our life's mission has been about how to engage and accelerate learning for the non-traditional student. We've done it all over the world in over 100 countries, 5 million students in our courses around the world. So corporate training is a massive market. $500 billion are spent every year on a market that is incredibly inefficient. Most of the training that we see today looks a lot like this. I'm sure you can relate. PDFs, maybe they give an employee a binder. Perhaps a manager spends more time than they need to sitting next to a new employee trying to get them up to speed. These inefficiencies lead to low productivity among the workforce and also high turnover rates. And when we look at the employees that are these non-traditional students that are entering hourly wage jobs and are our frontline workers, we have compassion and empathy for them because they may not have been successful in the classroom environment. And we're giving them the opportunity to find a way to be successful through the programs that we're developing. Especially the corporate training today is not working for our younger employees and the millennials that are entering into the workforce. So what do? Cognition combines the best things in learning science and emotionally driven content to reach and engage young employees to get them to understand and accelerate their learning. We're using all of the tools that we have in our toolbox, different pieces of technology, things like virtual reality. So you want to get an employee engaged with training, put them into a virtual reality program, they're not going to ignore it. We use augmented reality, where you can scan a sticker that you put up in your restaurant and it'll give you just-in-time training. We're also working with IBM Watson, which we've folded into our products, to be able to give people information when they need it. I want to give you 2 case studies on things that we've worked on recently. So Lowe's Hotels is a client of ours. They had a major problem with their guests. Their front hotel desk clerks were not taking in the emails when people signed up. And of course, this is a problem because most people show up through Orbitz or Priceline, and they're losing lots of money through that transaction. So we implemented a program that was tablet-based and mobile. We saw increases of 400% in email intake over the course of a 4-week period of time. So that's an acceleration that really benefits the business and also gives the employee the confidence to be able to be successful in their job. Really quickly, another thing that we're looking at is cross-pollination between other industries, how to take the best practices of the hospitality industry, the restaurant industry, and apply them to other markets. So we've been looking at Ritz-Carlton's customer service and how to apply that to the healthcare world. We've seen in hospitals infection rates drop as nurses begin to incorporate customer service into their work. So we've been around for 2 years. In our first year in operation, we did $5.3 million in revenue. We're on track to do 10 this year. Really excited to see that kind of uptake. Running a startup is like walking on a razor's edge, and it's exciting when you see something is hitting and resonating with both the employees and the customers that we're serving. So I want to thank you for listening. If anyone has any questions, I'll be here.
There we go. That's me. So our next presenter has the unique distinction of having traveled the furthest to be here. And he's keeping on that same theme of using technology and using mobile and data in new and interesting ways to connect employees. And he's solving an acute problem that many restaurants have, that many companies with large labor forces have, of how do you prepare the employees to communicate properly, to create the right environment, and most importantly, to be there on time for work. And so that's the acute problem that they're solving around scheduling. So I'd like to have Helgi come join.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Helgi Hermansson. I am a CEO and co-founder of Sling. You might be wondering why there is an erupting volcano here, but Sling comes from Iceland. and this is one of our volcanoes, Eyjafjallajökull, who created major troubles for transatlantic flights and news anchors some years ago. But we opened an office here in New York to be closer to our customers about 10 months ago, and look for opportunities in the US, as we wanted to become part of the big and professional restaurant market in the US. So what is Sling? Sling is a shift scheduling software with communication for restaurants. It makes it possible to communicate and work with your staff in a new and unique ways. It is super simple to set up and use. You go to getsling.com, create your account, and invite your employees to join. And booms, in with few minutes, you have your own company intranet. It's available on web and iOS and Android apps, and the good news, it's free. And I know that sounds a bit crazy, but if you're interested in learning how we're going to make any money, please poke me at lunch, and I will tell you all of our secrets. Most of our secrets. Sling is built around 4 features: messages, schedule, news feeds, and shifts. So it makes it possible for a restaurant manager to organize and manage all aspects of his business on a single platform. On Sling, you can share and distribute information and news, send messages to groups or individuals, assign tasks, and create employees' work schedules. So instead of using multiple platforms like Facebook, Trello, email, Excel, you'll be using a single tool where everything is in one place. Sling goes beyond your average shift scheduling software. Our 4 features are equally strong. And I would like to point out our communication tools, newsfeed and messages. They help you bring your team together, keep everyone informed, and build a better company culture. Our research shows that restaurant employees, millennials in particular, want more communication from the top. We've heard that in many, many places where we have been using our software. And we believe that better communication at the restaurant leads to higher employee engagement, lower turnover, and better customer service. But we haven't built Sling alone. We have been in continuous touch with our restaurant customers even before we wrote the first line of code. We have incorporated multiple features such as employee availability, time of request, and all the other things to make it a one-stop stop for restaurants in regards to scheduling and communications. We have now users all around the US and actually here also in New York. For example, the Musket Room, which has been with us since early this year, and I would like to show you a short video where they talk about their experience with Sling.
Hi, my name is Lee Weiss. I'm the Assistant General Manager at the Musket Room in New York City. As a Michelin-star restaurant, we like to keep all of our standards incredibly high at all times, so organization is key, and Sling has really been able to help with that. Some of the things I like most about Sling are how easy it is to make a schedule, how easy it is to communicate with staff, how easy it is to keep all information in one place, and allow staff to access it so that they have all the necessary information they need to do their job. I make the schedules much faster than I used to. Nothing gets lost. Everything's there in one place, one website, one app. I would definitely recommend Sling to other restaurant managers. I think it's just a great way of organizing a sometimes chaotic process of managing, keeping in touch, and communicating with so many moving pieces that are part of the restaurant.
So please give Sling a try. It's super easy. You go to getsling.com, create your account, and you can start using it. I would love to meet anybody in person and do a demo for you. I'm based here in New York. Like I said, we opened an office here about 6 months ago, so any restaurant or anybody who's interested in working with us, please reach out and we'll come running to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helgi. As Helgi mentioned, all the presenters will be available at lunch. We're not doing Q&A, but if anybody has questions, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to answer them for you. So our final presenter is in a very interesting market that has a lot of tailwinds around localization and trying to source locally and be more organic. I actually looked this up on the way here. just trying to see how many farms are truly independent in the US, and it's actually a pretty staggering statistic that 90% of the farms in the United States are either independently owned or family owned. And if you think about what that means, it means that those 10% of farms that are sort of large agro farms have an advantage of large sales forces on distribution. And what our next presenter's company is doing is trying to give that other 90% the tools to be able to run their farms more efficiently and to be able to sell more efficiently. And so it's a powerful theme that carries with the idea of, again, mobile and the use of data to more efficiently create connections in this supply chain in food. So David and Farmers Web.
Thank you. I'm David Ross, CEO and co-founder of Farmers Web, which is online software that farms use to manage their business and work with wholesale buyers such as schools, restaurants, corporate kitchens, caterers, and retail stores. We started a few years back to help farmers and chefs connect and transact online. At the time, there was really no easy way to go about it other than going to the market, the farmers market, and meeting the farmers there and talking to them there, as Nick from Sweetgreen alluded to earlier. What we set out to do is really bring this behavior online, and if we could make it easier on everybody, everyone would do more of it. And we were focused 100% on farms that could and wanted to work with buyers in New York City. As we grew to represent a roster of farmers that really represented every type of product a chef could want if it was available locally and seasonally, from produce to meat, dairy, poultry, et cetera, and a group of buyers that really represented every type of wholesale buyer, type and size of wholesale buyer out there, we quickly realized that beyond just the ability to connect and transact, both sides really needed a comprehensive software solution to give themselves, to enhance the way they work together and help create what would really be the most successful working relationship possible. As we were realizing this, farms were signing up from all across the country, and in speaking with them and even farms in other parts of the tri-state area, they would say, look, we're interested in working with buyers in the cities, but we also have buyers in our area that we want to work with as well. So we made some adjustments to the software and added some new features which let it work like that. And this spring launched a national platform that farms anywhere in the country can use to work with their buyers. Farms choose between a flat monthly fee or a percentage of sales. And that flexible fee structure, along with some of the new features, really let them use it with 100% of their wholesale buyers. Some of those features include being able to obviously work with buyers that place their order online and pay by credit card, but also those that want to pay offline by check and on terms. Also, if you're a farm and the buyer wants to call you or text you or email you or still show up at the market to place the order, you as the farmer can use Farmers Web to put that order in, still track the order, and get all the benefits of the features with that order. Those include generating automatic invoices, packing slips, PDF catalogs, giving certain buyers special pricing, processing credit requests, working with third-party logistics providers, and more. Buyers, of course, get free online 24/7 access to local farms, greater insight into their products and availability, including quantities and pricing, streamlined communication from the farm, and online records. As was said earlier, there are over 2 million farms in the US, 90% of which are small to mid-size and family-owned. Right now, most of them are repeating all the necessary administrative tasks with every buyer on every order. This has the unintended consequence of limiting the number of buyers they could or would even want to work with. And with Farmers Web streamlining the process, they become easier to work with for those buyers, but in turn can work with more buyers overall. It's always been our goal to increase the amount of local sourcing by making it easier on both sides, and we look forward to working with the dedicated chefs that are looking to source local the hardworking farmers that have the best products, and the logistics providers in between that help get product to the buyer. Thank you very much for TechTable team for putting together this amazing event and letting us be a part of it, and I look forward to speaking with people throughout the day. Thank you.
Thank you, David. 3 great examples of companies that are doing very interesting things to reinvent everything from the supply chain to the way that the operations work inside of a restaurant. So another round of applause for 3 great speakers.